Take a listen to a soundbite from yesterday. Nick Fuentes speaking at what could be considered a white nationalist rally. Take a listen and we'll talk about it on the other side.
Can we give a round of applause for Russia? Yes. Absolutely, absolutely. Now they're going on about Russia and Vladimir Putin is Hitler, and they say that's not a good thing. And I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that. But what other way is there to say it? Of course, we know that's a terrible comparison.
So, Sarah, this is a group, AFPAC. They are a white nationalist group. I do want to say that two members of Congress spoke at this convening, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene and Congressman Paul Gosar. NBC News does say that MTG didn't say anything out of the ordinary. However, what has come to be known as ordinary certainly leaves a lot of room for debate there. It's quite dangerous to me to hear statements like that, and also those statements be echoed by Tucker Carlson and others coming from right-wing extremists. While we see what's happening and unfolding in Ukraine, what does this mean for our domestic politics here at home?
Well, these groups have been linked for a long time. I mean, this has been going on since Trump announced his run for office. And, many people in, Putin's corner saw the appeal of a white nationalist demagogue. And they're also financially linked. I mean, that's, I think, what we need to look at most here. We obviously have a problem with hateful rhetoric, with threats of violence, but they are funded. They are backed up by the same group of oligarchs and plutocrats and elite operatives who are also involved in the election. People like Paul Manafort, Michael Flynn, Roger Stone, people who are still on the run now, and oligarchs backing up Putin. So there's a lot of mutually beneficial, kleptocratic and autocratic bonds that have been formed, and very little accountability for anyone, which is why we've reached the point that members of Congress feel comfortable speaking at this sort of horrific rally.
Which is quite terrifying, Malcolm, honestly. And, I recall in 2016 the way Russia targeted specifically black voters. And I'm looking at existing threats now. Private businesses have already been warned about ransomware attacks, potentially from Russia. Something that terrifies me is Havana syndrome. There was reporting from CBS on Havana syndrome reaching domestic soil and people having syndromes of Havana syndrome. What is your assessment of the biggest threat that Russia poses to us here on domestic soil right now?
Well, I mean, Russia poses threats on many, many different levels in many parts of the spectrum. I mean, you can think about Havana syndrome, which is probably something that's being done, as a secret operation, around the world, as using U.S. diplomats and intelligence personnel as test beds. But look, this is a country that deployed the single most deadly chemical weapon in a chemical weapons attack against our ally, England. They also poisoned their own people using the rarest mineral on this planet, right? Polonium, which can only be produced as a byproduct of plutonium and only in a reactor that is creating atomic bombs. I mean, so Russia poses a myriad of threats. But let's be frank here. They pose a fundamental threat to the existence of the United States founding document, the Constitution of the United States. That is our nation as a republic. And as Republicans like to say, oh, we're not a democracy, we're a republic. Yes, we are. A republic is a democracy in which the rights of the minority are protected. So, us being a republic, we have to understand that Putin does not believe in democracy in itself. When I wrote my book, Plot to Destroy Democracy, a few years ago, which outlined his intelligence agencies breaking down of political parties in Europe and funding some of the worst neo-Nazi right-wing parties out there, including the government of Austria at the time, which was a party founded by two SS officers in 1952 who signed a treaty with United Russia, Putin's party. That pretty much showed us who the Nazis are in this story. When you have people like Nick Fuentes, who is a literal Nazi, okay, and the rest of these people saying what Hitler did was fundamentally not wrong, this is the fifth column in America that have been taken over through the influence of Vladimir Putin by believing that they are white, they are Christian, and that they should be the supreme rulers of America. And the American Constitution is a mere, how can I put it, not even a fig leaf, it's an obstacle. And that is why they support this dictator's invasion of Europe. You should care, because I don't want to see anybody wearing Captain America shirts out there without adhering to the values which made this country great. And it isn't dictatorship.
You are absolutely right, Malcolm. And Sarah, I want you to take a listen to some of the points that Malcolm was making. There are similar comments coming out of Fox News. Take a listen, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
Putin is now saying it's independent, a large section of Ukraine. I said, how smart is that? And he's going to go in and be a peacekeeper.
Democrats in Washington have told you have a patriotic duty to hate Vladimir Putin. It's not a suggestion, it's a mandate. It might be worth asking yourself, since it is getting pretty serious, what is this really about? Why do I hate Putin so much? Has Putin ever called me a racist?
Very shrewd, very capable. I have enormous respect for him. I've been criticized for saying that. No, I have enormous respect for him.
So I do want to say Tucker Carlson is now conveniently condemning Putin, saying this is his fault, but we can see very clearly where he was initially, with right-wing extremists having an entire network to espouse these kind of extremist beliefs and supporting essentially an enemy of the United States. What does that mean for us? Because it's not that they're saying these things, it's that the huge audience they have that consumes these things.
Yeah, and it's the endurance of that audience and the fact that they've been doing this, for such a long time. Trump was installed as the president of the United States in order to weaken the alliances that were preventing Putin from achieving his goals. Alliances like NATO, our relationship with our European partners, our relationship with Ukraine. Trump was put in as a bulldozer, and he was also put in, as Malcolm said, as a bulldozer to the Constitution, to our system of checks and balances, to our system of institutional trust, and the unwillingness of people in the United States to confront the brokenness of those institutions, whether through financial corruption in recent years or age-old systemic problems like the endemic racism that holds our country up, has contributed to that. And Fox News, in this sense, is just an extension of that long-running destructive pattern.